Hi, Shelly. Welcome to the NTM Growth Marketing Podcast. It's an honor to be speaking with you today.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Shelly, like we said before the podcast, UNICEF is a household name. I think most people have admired it for years. I'd love to know, how did you get in the door with UNICEF? What inspired you to go and work there?
Well, I worked at YNR forever, about 28 years, and I was always involved in all of our nonprofit work, all the ad council work. It was my passion.
Mhm.
And the CEO of our company was also passionate about changing the world and making it a better place. So in about 2016, we started a nonprofit practice within YNR to really help nonprofits think about their organizations as companies, as for-profit businesses,
Mhm.
because quite frankly, what we offer, a lot of you mentioned Patagonia before, organizations like that for a new generation are more likely to attract supporters who want to change the world around climate than giving money to an
Mhm.
organization like UNICEF or Greenpeace. So we had to say, look, we are a brand. That's where our strength lies. And how do we educate this
Mhm.
audience about the importance of building their brand and actually think about their results as driving profitable business results? It's a mind shift. Um, and we did that from 2018 to 2016, at a time where we had an election where we thought nonprofits would be likely struggling to get their endowments. 2 years later, the chief marketing officer of UNICEF left. My CEO, David Sable, was on their board, and he said, "Hey, how would you like to help them out?" Like, hey, that's a dream. And after working there in a helping out capacity, I was given the opportunity to join full time. And 5 years later, I've never been happier, prouder, more equipped for a role than I am right now. And given the state of the world for children, I'm even more passionate about our
Mhm.
mission.
What are you most proud of with your work?
Um, I would say when we came in, we did a brand study and we showed the board, we showed the executive office at the time that we had a brand that was fatiguing.
Mhm.
We were a very trusted brand. People were familiar with us, but that familiarity was completely connected to trick or treating with a little orange box. So we needed to do something really significant to, reignite the power of the UNICEF brand. And working with data analytics, an incredibly brilliant group within UNICEF, an executive leadership team that was all in, and most importantly, a board that had some really um, famous marketers, if you would, saying, no, we got to do this. We've got to do this now. And we've got to invest in it. We've got to believe in it. We have to lean into it. And we did. And we came up with a positioning at the end of 2018. And just in a nutshell, we said, listen, UNICEF is a bunch of badass do-gooders. We have to bring some innovation. We have to bring some feeling of modern forward momentum to a brand that does so much and people know so little. And what makes us so different from so many other humanitarian organizations is the sheer scale and the people who work in the most dangerous places on earth. It's like Mother Teresa meets Raiders of the Lost Ark. They are out there getting supplies to people. They're
Mhm.
climbing trees, they're flying in with helicopters, they're dropping supplies with drones. So talk about having to create a story. The story was there. We just had to tell it. And that has been not only my greatest pride and joy, but the organization has
Mhm.
embraced it. It's connected to our strategic plan. Igniting the power of the brand became one of the key enablers of our business strategy. Our current executive director, CEO, Michael Nineheis, he is all about brand. He believes in it,
Mhm.
puts it front and center in what we do, the cohesiveness of our brand, the powerful storytelling, investing in technology and marketing, on and on and on. And it's been a journey, year 5, but now we have to take it to the whole next level. And that's reigniting my enthusiasm.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that in the role of innovation and marketing. So can you talk maybe a little bit more macro on innovation and marketing? And I'd love to hear any examples you can share at UNICEF, because I'm hearing what might have been hard in that transformation was not only a nonprofit organization that might resist marketing. Secondly, this is a well-established brand that has been around for a while. And not saying UNICEF did this, but some organizations might be set in their ways of how things have always gone.
Yeah, definitely. If I could just sort of start with what leads us to be able to be innovative. It's so easy to say, oh, well, we want to be innovative. Well,
Right.
could you imagine interviewing a CMO who doesn't want to be innovative? That would be pretty scary. We have 3 core values, and this is all pretty recent. So number 1, everything we do is through the lens of children and their rights. Now, children's rights in this country is a whole other meaning that one has to be very delicate. Everything we do is a delicate balance. Number 2 is the power of we, right? So changing the world takes all of us, corporate partners, major donors, innovation. But the key one is, and this is really, I think, pretty impressive, big thinking, bold action. That is one of our 3 core values. So what does that mean? It means that that the world requires big, bold solutions, making it part of our culture and giving people the latitude to fail. How do you get innovation? It's not, a bunch of really smart tech guys coming up with AI. Okay, I got it. Everybody wants to do something with AI. So really what constitutes innovation is being able to get to more children, to be able to make our programs more effective so that we can ultimately change lives. And innovation can manifest in different ways. So let's start with innovation at a programmatic level. So again, connected to marketing, but what are we doing in the field? What are we doing within country? What are we doing at the global programmatic level through our work, which is not only innovative, but, to quote our strategy, is badass. And that's where you see things like, how do we improve girls' access to education in a world where in Afghanistan, in 5th grade, they can't go to school anymore? What is the innovation that's going to allow those girls to continue to get an education? How do we use digital technology, digital learning? How do we use cash transfers so that we can pay teachers who want to be able to be helpful? How do we create relationships, even with parts of the government that one, feels very reluctant to speak about, to at least align on providing services, whether it be around mental health or keeping children safe and protected? How do we get vaccines into the arms of children when there's all this misinformation out there? And we also have to get to the most remote locate. How do we do that? Now the marketing innovation becomes a support, right? So that's about, for us, it's always about looking for what's next, right? Try it, test it, learn, fail. That's okay. Because that's one of the brilliant things about being in a world that's both immediate in what you expect on your return, performance marketing,
Right.
$1 in, $3 out. But it also means that we understand that we have to reimagine certain things that we do, and that's going to take time. I will tell you, investing in brand was an innovation. Understanding that, what is at the core of what we do? Our audience. It's not what we want them to do, it's what they want to do, and they are in control. And by the way, what they say and what they do are 2 very different things. So, how do we start to really get deeper insights and start understanding? So you rely on your agency partners. You do, of course, market automation. We're working on all full funnel marketing, how we bring together performance marketing and brand marketing and create an attribution model that understands their separate roles. That may not sound so innovative, but in the world
Can you actually
fundraise.
expand upon that? As I'd love to hear how you connect brand to data attribution with performance marketing, as that's a struggle I always come across of,
Yeah.
brand might
Okay.
not
So
feel as tangible with money. I'd love to hear that.
yeah, and believe me, we're in early days. We don't have the money to do like marketing mixed,
Right.
um, or some of the big agencies, can really give you a use case. But we are working with an attribution model um, that is doable. So in our case, when we go to market
Mhm.
during an emergency or doing end of year fundraising, let's focus on end of year fundraising. We know who's going to donate to us, and we know we have to make a return on that investment. So we think about really the market who's already ready to participate. Well, the thing is that that's not a huge market. We're a big brand perceptually, but our audience is relatively small. So you could still, it was like when I worked on Campbell Soup. I would say that 80 to 90% of the volume came from 10% of the audience. I think sort of like that. It's probably like 1%. It's the number of people who actually care about an international organization that helps children in other parts of the world is a much more smaller philanthropic market than, St. Jude's and unfortunately childhood cancer that hits
Mhm.
all of us. So how do we, number one, grow our audience? Well, okay, for us, and here's an example, Trick or Treat, which we've now turned into a digital experience, which we've done a lot of innovative things around that because it's all fully digital now, enabled with QR codes, and we've got great interactive video. A really deep and meaningful experience that we're offering people. In that regard, we are bringing in a lot of new supporters. They're not all donating. They're coming in to watch our videos. They might download a box so that they can trick or treat with their kid. They're doing things because we're giving them something to do. And there's some sort of latent love of UNICEF. It's like that box is gone from schools. Oh, but it's so nice to have it back. So their mindset is very different. But what we then do is we have now targeted with mid funnel, because I would consider that mid, not upper. They're
Right.
interacting with the brand. They're younger. They might be parents with kids. They know us, but they've never really engaged with us. And now when we spend our brand dollars in October, because Halloween is by far the biggest holiday. Forget about Christmas. It's all about Halloween. So the audiences are open, right? We're culturally current, right? That cultural currency exists for us in that moment. Now we get into November and we begin to sort of move into a more serious brand message
Mhm.
about the need to help these children. Again, not
Is that
asking for
your
money.
bottom of funnel?
Yeah, that's still mid funnel because that's still
Okay, mid
brand
funnel.
dollars. So
Okay.
that's mid funnel. We are talking to a cause marketing audiences that are interested in cause led issues,
Mhm.
audiences that are interested in international issues, audiences that are interested in children, audiences that are interested in climate change and health. So it's not just this everybody audience. It's an audience that are lookalikes to the kind of people who donate to us. But the
Mhm.
message to them is educating them. Because again, they are slightly familiar. So we want to make them more familiar. And we see the more familiar you become with us, and we have this from Harris poll data, the more likely you are to consider.
Mhm.
So that's a real metric. Now we can retarget those people during the month of December, and we can show that X amount of dollars came through new audiences. And so
Mhm.
we're making some suppositions that where they came from based on how we can track their journey. Was it either through an evergreen brand campaign or it was through a trick or treat effort? And we could attribute, let's say, X amount of dollars based on
Mhm.
audience, the audience gift size, and the fact that they had never donated to us before. So it's rough,
Right.
but but I think it makes the point.
Uh,
Especially, it makes the point. Excuse me. When you think about how much money we spend in performance marketing, and how much money we spend in brand is just no comparison. But by
Right.
bringing them together, aligning around a common goal of driving a interest among a larger audience, it works. And we need to do more and more. And we're not asking them to just donate money. We're asking them based on their preferences, what they want to do. They want to learn more. Let's make it easy for them.
Mhm.
They want to take an advocacy, like, I want to do something about this. Give them an advocacy action they can take to change policy at the federal level, or to, hey, look what's happening now at the elections. Ask your candidate what they're doing to ensure that child's rights are protected in their local community. Now you're starting to engage in a meaningful way, but you have to have patience.
Mhm.
And again, the way the world judges nonprofit, it's how much money we spend on program and what we spend on expense. And unfortunately, looking at this as an expense prevents you
Right.
from how much you can invest. Yet at the end of the day, if you really change that metric, we would be able to significantly expand our audience,
Let's
and the long-term growth of the organization would be significantly better.
I'd love for our last question today to just expand upon that, as I think that was such a brilliant statement you were making, but I'll say it in my own words, but I'd love to hear you expand upon it, is why is marketing an investment, not an expense on your P&L?
Well, it is an expense on our P&L for demand gen.
Mhm.
It has to be, because that is the way the industry defines spending. The charity navigators of the world, they look at
Mhm.
program. Brand is program. Brand is education.
Mhm.
Brand is driving advocacy, which is one of our mandates. So there is impact value.
Mhm.
That's what we measure, by the way. We're measuring impact. Impact can be measured purely in dollars, or it can be measured in impact, which is the effect that our programs have had on changing the lives of children. And that includes things that are not donor funded, like our
Mhm.
advocacy actions. So if
Amazing.
you change, imagine if you change policy in a country to ensure that education for girls is funded, digital literacy is in their budgets. And I've seen this. We went to Ghana and we saw how that works. It is just game changing. Education about reproductive rights for young women so that they can prevent pregnancy, giving them scholarship. We work with MSNBC and Lawrence O'Donnell, and he has done this in Malawi with kids in needs of desks, getting kids girls scholarships. There's programmatic value in that. Demand gen is considered an expense, and
Mhm.
it's just the way the industry measures the efficacy. It's not the best way to measure the efficacy of an
Right.
organization. St. Jude's has to be one of the most effective organizations on the planet, and they spend. You can't turn on the TV without seeing a PSA for St.
Right.
Jude's. You just right. Well, guess what? They're reaching more children with cancer. So that's a good example of where it needs to go, and we're a long way from there.
Amazing, Shelley. So lastly, can you share any links, any information that people can follow up with just to learn more about you or UNICEF?
Oh, sure. Well, our website is amazing. We just redid it and
It's
did a
beautiful.
lot, and we did most of it ourselves. We really have some incredibly talented people. So UNICEFUSA.org. I think it is a great example of some of innovation in marketing. We see ourselves both as our organization, marketing. We're a newsroom pushing out content. I mean, not every day, every minute, being literally on 24/7. UNICEF USA is part of global UNICEF, and you can go on unicef.org too. It is a massive organization, and they brilliantly share the content in real time so that our team can pull it and make it relevant to the US market. So when things are happening, Ukraine as an example, we have people who are pre-positioned, they're already there. So when something starts, we're there. And we have our team of writers, we're out there on our social channels, we're out there on our website. We have to keep it fresh. We want to keep people coming. And then on the paid side, we're amplifying, right? What people are responding to, because we see them respond to a story, we see them engaged with a story, and then we push it out on our own channels, but we also push it out on our paid channels. And our PR team is out there pitching the stories in real time, and it all aligns. So it's in the air, it's in the culture, it's relevant. We have really smart spokespeople who have something to add to the narrative. So press wants to talk to them, and then we push it out to our supporters, and we give them an action to take. So, and then we see what we did right and what we did wrong. And believe me, we do a lot right, but we learn every day from what we could have done better the next time. We've had quite the lesson since October 7th, because we live in a world where just the horror around what Hamas did in Israel, but then the horror, what's happening in Gaza, and you have an American public deeply divided, and we're back to mission. Our mission is to save the lives of every child. That's our mission. Your personal opinion, that's our mission. And we're there. We have people on the ground in Afghanistan, in Gaza, in Ukraine, and you're getting this information from them in real time, and it is our responsibility to our supporters to make sure they have that information and that we give them something to do.
Perfect. Well, Shelley, I so appreciate this conversation. Your enthusiasm for UNICEF is amazing, and just thank you for your time today.
Oh, well, thank you, Andrew, and to your listeners, we need your support. So UNICEFUSA.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.